and we'll go as long as you want.
All right. Well, fresh from GenCon Indy 2023, Jim, we decided to go ahead and do an out of sequence special continuing conversations. I'm Michael Dismeek, freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures and lead writer on Captain's Log, which I have to say smashed down walls this weekend. And I'm with the amazing and inspiring Jim Johnson.
Oh, come on, Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson.
You're getting me addicted to that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody, Jim Johnson. I'm the project manager and line editor for the Star Trek Adventures RPG, as well as the Captain's Log solo RPG, both published by Modiphius Entertainment. Lo these many years, co-host on this here show with Michael. Lo these 90 plus episodes, and plus this bonus episode. Initially, we were going to take tonight off, but I convinced, I virtually twisted Michael's arm to say, "Oh man, this was your first Gen Con. I want to hear your reactions. I think the fans want to hear your reactions before you've had a week to process them and to get off your high." So,
and I'm glad I was able to sleep tomorrow. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to sleep yesterday, and two reasons. I left Saturday night, which one I regret because I wish I could have spent an extra day just playing games and being selfish and playing games there. But I'm happy I left because flights were so many cancellations yesterday because of the storms down in the south that at least yesterday I was able to sleep all day, go to the gym. I hadn't been in the gym in like 4 days, sleep all day, and then have all the energy to defrag. What do you call that? Yeah, defrag. Yeah, to decompress and defrag and be ready for today. So I don't even know where to start, Jim. You tell me, where do you want me to start?
Oh man, well, you got there on Wednesday or Thursday?
I got there Wednesday. I got in town Wednesday while they were still setting up the Modiphius booth. I didn't want to disturb them, so I got there Thursday morning. I got in early. Gregory let me in. I have to say, first of all, Gregory's one of the nicest guys I've ever met at Modiphius. And he got me in. I got to see the booth set up, and the tidal wave that hit on Thursday was amazing. As you know, I'm an introvert, but I go into performance mode when I'm around that many people. Yeah. And I was on for basically 12-hour a day for 3 days. 3 days. But it was worth it because the number one highlight, I got to say, actually is the fans. You always say it. You always say that's the number one thing, but I couldn't believe how many people I was able to talk to who've had great experiences with the game, or my really big highlight were anticipating solo RPG from Star Trek Adventures. So
that's cool.
When I get to my thank yous, I'll name them personally, as many as I can remember. But literally, like the front of my book. In fact, hold on one second. I got to grab it. I got to show you.
Yeah,
one second.
Totally show it off. Yeah, take your time. So so Michael, I was following Michael on he was posting pictures and stuff. It was just fun to watch while he was, because I was like living vicariously through you, because watching your posts and stuff reminded me of Gen Con 2017 when that was my first convention, and I had no idea what to expect at all because I'd never been to one. And we were releasing the core rule book, right? And I had just had zero experience doing anything like that. And of course, in 2017. It was a completely different experience because Modiphius was a smaller company and we had a smaller booth and we just didn't have the resources that we have now. But I remember that experience on Thursday. We were all waiting at the booth, waiting for the doors to open. And then it was like the tides, came in. It was just like this endless stream of people coming to the booth and coming, wandering the exhibit hall and all that stuff. So,
I mean, before I even show off my book, I got to talk about the Modiphius booth. It was kick butt. It was like walking into a library no, you know what? It was like walking into a game store. It was really, and the biggest, I get nervous. I used to work in, one of my first jobs was working raw stress for less and loss prevention, like as a kid, I was like 16 years old. The staff was so alert and attentive. I couldn't believe it. They were definitely working hard, but their customer service was top game. So
yeah, and I remember seeing the pictures. They had tables set up and shelves of product, and they had a Dreams and Machines section with licensed stuff.
Yep.
I didn't catch all of it, but it was certainly a far cry, a far step beyond what we had, 7 years ago, whatever it was. And you can thank most of that to Greg. I think Greg really made it. He's our events coordinator at Modiphius. He has made huge strides over the last several years, really bringing that convention experience up our game, like all those banners, all the signage that you saw in there. That's all. I'm pretty confident it's all his doing, because he knew what we needed in the booth to make an appearance. The ceiling. Did you see the ceiling?
Yeah. It was amazing.
That said Modiphius, so you can see it from across the exhibition hall. That I'm pretty sure that was his doing too, because I don't think we had that until like 2018, maybe 2019. That was before him, but I'm just thrilled to hear.
Yeah, and they had cosplayers, and Modiphius staff was there running games that they had set up at tables. So there's just, to me, I like a booth when there's a lot to do. Yeah. And then what was cool is that people like myself, John Kennedy, another freelance writer, Aaron Paulier, we were able to come by. I know Kelly Fitzpatrick and Derek Tyler Attico stopped by the booth. And what we were able to do, which became an added unexpected feature, is we were able to sign books as people were buying them. We were sitting there signing their books, but more importantly, I was having them sign my books. So take a look at this. For those of you at home, you're not seeing it, but these were people who were standing in line. The ones I caught, I wasn't there the whole time. So this is just the ones I caught, right? And then I'll show you, here's the back page. There, and then let me show you something really cool on page 225 that I did. I was able to get signatures not only from Kelly Fitzpatrick and Derek Tyler Attico, but also Trevor Duvall. And if you don't know who that is the voice of Rocket Raccoon on the cartoons for Disney, Marvel Disney. And he also runs a podcast, which I love and was essential to my homework for Captain's Log. It's called Me, Myself, and Die. And he runs another Modiphius project called 5 Parsecs from Home. He does a very well-produced solo RPG play that you can see on YouTube. So I hung out with him and gave him one of these books. I bought one of these books for him, and really encouraged him to check it out. So he's actually accepted an invitation on our show, Continuing Conversations, Jim. So after he plays it a little bit, I want to have him on the show and get his feedback, because he definitely is one of the top solo RPGers out there on YouTube right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. So from personal experience, make sure you put that book in a safe place, because you will treasure it. Years from now, you will treasure that thing. You will flip through it and look back on it with fond memories. I have my core rule book that I bought at the booth in 2017. I had as many people as I possibly could sign it. I've taken that to many conventions. I mean, pre-COVID, I took it to several conventions, had a lot of people sign it, and it is my treasure. It is my joy, and nobody can take that away from me. And I'm so thrilled to have it. I'm so thrilled, Michael. I mean, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that you had this opportunity to go to GenCon, to meet these people, to get the signatures, and to have this experience. I am so great. I mean, I'm not grateful to me, but I'm like, I'm grateful to you. I am humbled and grateful to be in this position that I can give this opportunity to other people. So I am so thrilled that you had a good time.
Again, going back,
up, man.
I know. No, it was no. I'm telling you, I'm sitting there right now. Honestly, I honestly feel this way because I never planned to be where I'm at. Being able to do this stuff. And honestly, if that was the last time I have an opportunity to write, and that was my last event, I'd call it a wrap and be like, wow, I still got someplace I never thought I'd be. Going back to the fan, and that, of course, is because you opened the door for that. Yeah. But the fans, it was funny, their reaction. And for those of you out there who I had the privilege of meeting, please respond to this on social media. Just say, hi, you met me. I signed your book. I would love to have that on social media. But I liked the reaction when they were buying the book. I would say, hi, I was the lead writer on the book. Can you please sign my book? And they were like, wait, what? You want me to sign your book? I'm like, yeah, because I kept telling them, I don't have a job without you, right? I said, if you don't buy these things, I have no job. So honestly, I think I should be thanking you more than you thanking me. And then I would, of course, sign their books if they wanted me to. But sure. I think in true Star Trek fashion, it's about the fans. Yep. And no other. Some of the people were like, wow, that's like really cool. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's just kind of the spirit of Modiphius and the Star Trek Adventures line is we know we're nothing without the fans. So I need to make sure you hear it as much as possible,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I did that, 2017 or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2017. And it was a weird, perverse kind of joy to see the look on their faces when I asked them to sign my book, right? Because I've been signing books for years as a writer. It's like, no, you sign my book because this is my joy. This is like I'm getting to connect with you, and I want you to sign my book so that I can remember you. I mean, I'm happy to sign your book, right? But I wanted it to go the other way.
Plus, it was my first Gen Con. And I said, I need memorability, just like you described how I'm going to cherish it. Because the reason I did it is because you gave me the idea. You were talking that you did that. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be smart and bring my book. And it's really a memorabilia for me. I mean, this really was, to be a fanboy for a second, this was my first chance to feel what it's like to be a writer. Mm-hmm. Like to really feel like, oh, this is cool. Books. I've never done book sign. Oh, actually, my comic book. Okay, I did, but it wasn't that big of a deal, in comparison, I feel, to this where it's a known IP. So that was cool to have that experience. And I have this, and I'll cherish it. I mean, look at all those cool signatures, all these people.
It's fantastic. That's amazing. Super, super cool, Michael. No. If it helps at all, bottle this up and enjoy it. But also know that this is not your peak, right? This is just the continuation of your journey. So
I'm not complaining if it is. Like I said, I'm very appreciative a person. So.
I mean, at least for Star Trek Adventures, there's more to come, and wherever you go from here, right, is completely in your hands. Whether you do more like independent writing, more writing for other companies, like whatever you do, just cherish this bit and know that this was a stepping stone to your next achievement.
Well, I appreciate it. But I'm going to tell you, let's go to Captain's Log and talk about the reception to that.
Let's do it.
There. Peeking past Captain's Log. I mean, maybe you should talk. First of all, while I was there, I was aware it was selling out. So they sold out all of They sell out all of the Star Trek Adventures product. Captain's Log and
Lower Decks,
all of it, sold. Right, people were cracking. I love the Lower Decks fans, by the way. That's a subset of Star Trek fans that is up my genre. Like, these are the crazy fans, and I gotta say, Lower Decks are the party people. So not only was that a cool thing, but also talk about a little bit what was happening online this weekend with Modiphius products.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to Modiphius product in general. All I care, not to say I don't care. The only thing I was focused on was Star Trek, right? And so it was Thursday, right? So Thursday, GenCon opened. You all were selling the print copies right there out of the booth, and the PDF only went up available for sale on the web stores and Drive-Thru RPG. And so, like, obviously, we had a lot of buzz for the book prior to this week, because we announced it 3 weeks ago, I guess, almost 4 weeks ago now, shockingly. And anyway, so there was a lot of buzz online, like, okay, the PDF's available, let's go get it, go do it. And because I on the web stores and on Drive-Thru RPG, I can subscribe to each product. And so anytime someone sends a question or a comment to the products, I get an email saying, hey, somebody posted a new comment. So a lot of questions were coming in from people about Captain's Log. And of course, I'm also working on my own YouTube channel and creating content. So I was starting to create content and videos about Captain's Log, like how to use it with different products, et cetera, et cetera. So the buzz, like, all weekend long was really strong. And it was like I was getting the buzz from GenCon, from you and the other people posting pictures and stuff, and in action reports. And then I was getting the buzz from all the people online, all the different social medias that we're on. Like there's a long thread on Board Game Geek about Captain's Log. There's a couple of Reddit threads about Captain's Log. There's, of course, the official forums, the Discord, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of stuff out there all about Captain's Log. And I had fun because it gave me a chance to take a lot of Friday, because like Friday, I pretty much booked my Friday off of my day job so I could focus on Star Trek Adventures and enjoy it. And that all worked out really well. And I was just, bouncing from social media to social media, answering questions, keeping things positive, and getting fans involved. And of course, you guys were right there on the front lines, selling the book right out of the booth, and seeing a lot of fans excited for it.
Well, and another highlight that I saved kind of separate from all the names I've dropped so far was meeting Aaron Paulier and his wife Darlene in person. The reason why that meant so much to me too, we were like teenagers. We hung out together on Friday. We were such geeky teenagers. We talked so much, but so the reason why that matters is because he plays in my online game. And so this is someone I've never met in person before, but we talk almost every day on Discord because how I played the Star Trek Adventures game on Discord. Yep. And I almost felt like I already know his wife, because in the game, his character has a wife too. Mm-hmm. So I made a lot of assumptions that their personalities are alike. So when we came around, it was just like we were kind of partially in our game and partially in reality the entire time, because I kept comparing them to the Nalanid couple. That's what they're a bunch of Tellarites. And they argue like Tellarites too. It's really really wonderful.
Nice.
So I think that was another huge highlight. And then on Monday morning, myself, Aaron, and Andrew Peregrine, who is also a Star Trek writer and also creative director on Dune, right?
Dune. Yep.
Yeah. We sat down and did a panel. And what was totally cool about the panel, Jim, was at first when we started, there was one person in the room, Chris. He hold on, his last name, I'll
Rogers,
come
right?
to Chris Rogers. Yeah. So he was sitting in the audience at first, because 9 a.m. it's hard to get people on a 9 a.m. on a Saturday, on a Friday morning. I understand. They were up till 2 a.m, 3 a.m. playing games.
Right.
Well, he was the only one there. And I said, continuing conversations is about fans. So I brought him up on stage with us on the panel. And awesome. By the time the panel was over, we did have a nice discreet crowd that had trickled in. But they were asking questions. We were answering live with me, Aaron Paulier, who I call the science guy, the ship and science guy, Andrew Peregrine, of course, brilliant. And then Chris, who could take it from the fan perspective. And he even ran games there. STA, that was just like a really cool experience right there.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
It was fun. And then there's a lot of stuff. It was, let me show you the other book I got. 1 second.
Okay. Sure thing. GenCon's an amazing experience, folks. I think this year they were reporting that the attendance records were 70,000 people. So
what?
At least 70,000 people at GenCon this year. Maybe more, but that's the estimate coming out of GenCon.
It felt like it. And I got to say, this was my first time around a mass of people since the pandemic. And it was really in the pandemic when I discovered what a happy introvert I am.
Uh-huh.
So like my tension levels going there, I had really bad neck and shoulder problems, and I did all the therapy I'm supposed to do. And I managed it well. But it was definitely, if all of you who are introverts have not gone to a con, mentally prepare yourself and give yourself a day after to recover. That's my personal advice. Like,
did you have an opportunity to get away?
I couldn't get to the place you said.
Okay.
Did I get away? No, not during the day at all.
Got it.
You know why? And the reason why is because every time I wasn't doing something like running a STA game or a panel, I kind of had this thing inside of me. I felt like I owed it to be there and sign books and get as many signatures as I could. Because when am I going to meet the people I see online again? And so many were like, hey, I know you from Continuing Conversations, or I know your name. And that was kind of cool. Or I knew them because I see them on social media a lot, like Rhonda Gilmore or Michael. I have all these names that I listed here. Michael Sandusky, Ryan Potter. These are people I see online and I've talked to for years. And now to meet them, it was just like we hugged. I'm not a huggy person normally, but okay.
That's awesome.
Okay,
so what's the other book you got?
I'm slowly raising it up. You at home cannot see it.
Oh, I know what that is. Oh, you shelled out for that? Oh my gosh, you're crazy.
I had to. I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy. You're right. You're right. And I apologize. I should take that back. You are a dedicated super fan, because I saw that on the Modifius website and I was like, I cannot do that. That is the official certificate of authenticity, and this is the Dune limited edition core rule book that they had a factory, I think, in Spain or Italy.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Hand etched the brass cover, hand bind the leather binding. I mean, it is a super premium product, and it is not cheap. And I think they made a limited number of those.
They only made, I'll tell you right now, it's on my certification card. They only made 190 of them.
190.
Oh, sorry, 150. Sorry, 150.
It was a really small number. Yeah.
They only had 2 there at the con. So this is funny what happened here. I know we're digressing, but we're talking about GenCon.
All good.
So I'm standing there with Gregory and Andrew Peregrine. We're talking about the Dune line because I was telling them as I was comparing the books. I'm sorry. I'm not slamming Star Trek Adventures, but Dune has the covers that get you. Their cover designer is brilliant. And so I see this up there. I'm like, well, what's that? And just so everyone knows, no matter what it costs, I don't collect cars. I don't do electronics. My wife loves me. I don't spend a lot on clothes. I just don't, right? I just don't do stuff like that. I buy occasionally really good quality experiences. I believe in experiences in life.
Yep.
And so I see this and I'm touching it and they said, yeah, it's only one of 2 here. And I went, well, I said, and I'm looking at it for, I was like, well, I got to get it. And he told me what it cost. And I went, okay, yeah. I said, yeah, and this is before the booth even opened.
I said, way to do it.
I said, well, consider this your first sell of the day. I don't think they believed me at first. I'm like, yeah. And I said, and you need to tell me if I buy it right now, you're going to protect it until the end of the day. And so they were, I think, kind of flabbergasted about that. But now they know who I am as a person. You know how I am. I love quality stuff. And
Michael, this is the money.
No, see, this is what I tell my family.
You're the ringer.
They don't.
Hey, no. Michael, we're a little short this week. Can you help?
No.
Oh, I'll buy that, and I'll buy that, and I'll buy that. We're good.
No, let me explain myself. And people, this is what they don't understand.
You don't have to.
If you I like to, because I teach this to my nieces and nephews.
I'm just
and I know a lot of collectors out there know it too. When you don't spend on everything and you have really good self-control in life, then you can really spend for the things that matter to you in life. So me and my wife, we like food and vacations. We don't do a lot of other superfluous stuff. We make sure I have a home and the basics. But other than that, I'm a very cheap person, actually. And people laugh because when I finally do see something that I want, I know I have the nest egg for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's moments like this I can actually have because I'm not out there buying $5 Starbucks every day. You know what I mean? Because think about it, $5 a day of Starbucks. I've said this to you before, right? If you spend, now it's like $7 a day, right? 7 times 30, that's $210 a month you're spending on Starbucks. If you just don't buy yourself a really good coffee maker, one button that'll pour you coffee every morning.
Yeah.
So that's how I think. So moments like this, I don't want people to think I'm,
I hear you. No, I know, because
I'm not making it rain.
We are kindred spirits, Michael, because my wife and I, like my car is 20 years old. My wife's car is 23 years old. And It's not that we don't want a nicer car. It's just like, you know what? They're paid off. They work. They do what they need to do. And there's just no point in spending the money on something fancy just for the sake of having it, in our opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
We spend the money on experiences and not so much stuff. Now, me being me, like I do like my Star Trek stuff because Star Trek is my one big indulgence. But other than that, we don't spread it around because we just focus on the important stuff. And like if somebody were to come out with a premium, like hyper premium Star Trek book of some sort, like that Dune book, I'd be all over.
Oh, I saved my Latinum. I'm ready for it.
A hot minute, man.
Yeah, I've made myself kind of a promise in life because life is so fleeting, and I've had friends who die young. I also, my wife's family, they tend the generation that came out of the Great Depression tend to like work to death and then never really enjoy anything. And I said, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be frugal, but I'm also going to have great experiences. So that's why I got that. But anyways, I had to share that because that was definitely a prize find at the GenCon. I'm
going to ask you to do one thing. If you can crack open the book, if you don't mind cracking it open, if it's already open or not.
Yeah.
Tell me who the cover artist was.
Oh, okay. I read the whole thing, but
I think I know, but I want to hear it.
Cover artist. Bastien Diarmé. Sorry, it's French. Bastien Diarmé.
Oh, I don't know them. Okay, that's interesting. For some reason, I thought, and I'm going to have to go through the Modifius archives and the database and stuff, but I thought Stephanie Toro designed some of these supplemental books. Maybe some of the supplemental.
She may have. Yeah,
because she also did the covers for the Discovery campaign guide and the 2 special edition covers for Utopia Planitia. Oh, and she also did the player guide and the game master guide. Oh, wait, and she also did Captain's Log. What am I talking about? She did a ton of stuff for Star Trek Adventures.
She did all of that.
I think she worked on Dune as well.
Oh, wow.
On some of the Dune books. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But yeah, she's really awesome on covers. Okay. And she's done a lot of our covers, and they are fantastic. And in fact, I told her, I was going to send her her comp copy, and she said she wanted the original series one.
Oh, wow. So that's my favorite.
Spiral. I mean, that yellow. I can't wait to get mine. My copy still haven't arrived yet. That one. The fans can't see it, but it's the original series cover with the kind of the yellow thing. It's from Spock's science station, but it's also on the communicator. I think inside the communicator, there's that, and it has a name. That kind of wacky image, and I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Spectrographer? Is it the spectrographer?
Something like that. Spectrographer.
Well, see, I think the reason why they probably chose a different artist on this because this is, I believe it's etched brass.
Yeah, acid brass.
Yeah, it's etched brass. So this probably takes a special type of printing press that not everyone has. This is definitely one of a kind artwork. So it's biblical in proportions.
That's super cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm just super impressed that you got it, and it looks fantastic. So did you have Andy sign it while he was there?
Hell no. Wait, I did have what I did
with like a big black Sharpie just on the front.
Yeah, no, I'm not like. I did have him sign the back of the authentication card.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And in addition, because I've learned my lesson when I missed my opportunity to have Stan Lee sign my Avengers #1 copy, I then had him take a picture with the book.
Nice.
That adds value to it too for all you collectors out there.
Provenance
to prove that I'm and then I took a picture with him to prove that I was there that day with him when I bought this book, and I'm the only one who's ever touched it. So
but did you take a picture of him signing it?
God.
I think about like the people that are sports collectible people. They always want to be actually signing the thing in addition to the thing, and then the person holding the thing. It's like, whatever.
I was really overwhelmed. Okay, I really felt like all day long. I know no one can see me right now, but if you're listening to this as a podcast, but all day long I felt like this. Like everywhere I turned, there was something to do, which I want to talk about. One of the highlights of GenCon.
Yeah.
If I could go back again, which I will, I'm reserving one full day just to play games.
Oh, good idea.
Oh, I was seething with jealousy. And you know how I've gone to San Diego Comic-Con 7-8 times. 150,000 people. Wow. Yeah, they're superstar. I know. Yeah. They're superstars and stuff like that. But let me tell you why Gen Con blew it out of the water. And I'm a diehard Marvel fan. I'm a diehard, because I never been to a place where I heard so much laughter, but laughter from families. That makes, in a day and age where kids are addicted to social media and families are breaking up and people aren't coming together and they're dividing up and they're not inviting everyone to the table. Walking down and seeing these smattering and diverse people, young, old, every kind of background you could imagine, laughing together, exploring, learning new games. I can't believe how many people they get to show games there. That's just how they organize this event. Comic-Con's not like that. You got someone sitting behind a booth. Maybe they're interacting with people, but everybody here was geared to interact because they want you to play their games.
Right.
It was just so old. Like I told my nieces and nephews, like next year, I said, you're coming. I'm not going to see you probably the whole time because I'll probably be working. And I said, but there's going to be one day and we're just going to walk around and play games. That was like we're a board game household. So a kid should come to Gen Con. That's the biggest thing. I think it's such a kid friendly environment.
Yeah. Yeah. My son was, what was he? 3, 4 when we went to the first one, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience because we tried to gravitate toward the retailers and the booths that were super kid friendly, that actually had stuff that he could touch and interact with and do things with. And we bought some kids games that were really well designed for kids. Were really simple to play, really obvious pieces, really nice size pieces to work with, and it was just a great experience. And in fact, at that time, they had part of the stadium was set aside for kid gaming activities and stuff, and they were handing out coloring books and whatnot. So it was really cool to see that. So you get that side of it, and then you get the more adult side of things who are they're going after the games and the premium stuff or whatever. And then you've got the anime and the manga. And there was I remember there was one closed booth that was all the adult I don't even remember what it's called. It's not, is it hentai or whatever the adult Japanese comic, that was in a closed booth with curtains on it or stuff, and that was all secret because people were going in there 2 or 3 at a time.
Right.
I don't even want to know what's going on in there.
Jamaharan.
Yeah, people walking in with their horgons, right?
Yeah, and I think what's cool about that too is the people who I guess design games seem to be more humble. I'm making a huge generalization right now,
yeah, sure.
but but what meaning where unlike, okay, here's what I say. This is my experiences at Comic-Con. There's people who are known writers and known artists, and sometimes they can be a little standoffish. They know they're stars, they know that we're fanboys and fangirls and fan people. Yeah. And so I expected that. And here, no, the people who are kind of designing the game and into the games, they were just in a playful attitude to me. It was different from my experience. And I think that was cool. It was a very welcoming environment. And I thought that was different for me from going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, that's really cool, man. I'm so glad you got to go. And I'm really conflicted because like the 3 years I went, like the first 2 years, I was completely focused on the booth. I didn't want to leave the booth, like what you were saying, because you didn't want to miss out on an opportunity to sign books or have people sign your book or just interact with the fans because they were so important. And I didn't want to miss the handful of celebrities who were coming by. Like I think in 2018, the cast of Shield of Tomorrow came by to sign books. And I was like, I got to meet Sam and I got to meet Eric, and I got to meet a few of the other Amy, Alan, and a few others. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad I was still at the booth to not miss this. Right. But then like the third year, I was like, I was feeling kind of tired, a little jaded. It was hot. I was miserable. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be at the booth all weekend long, because by that point I knew that I was missing out on a ton of stuff. I was missing out on the opportunity to play games. I was missing out on opportunities to just wander the exhibition hall. And then I also found out that, like I understand the reasoning, but for whatever reason, there is a whole dedicated, like 4-day long writing track that happens in some of the other hotels where like all the professional writers, all the, science fiction, fantasy writers and stuff come in and they're doing panels and they're doing like writing seminars and writing how-tos. And like, there's a whole like separate writing convention in addition to GenCon. And I came out of that last convention in 2019. I was like, well, crap, what the heck do I do next time I go to GenCon? Like, do I work the booth? Do I play games? Do I wander around with my son and just have fun? Or do I do the writing thing? Like, there's 4 completely separate weekends of events to do. And I'm only one person. And I was like, right. I don't know what to do because like
you need to be a dupler. You need to be a dupler.
Be a dupler, yeah. Or I just have to accept that because I'm the PM of Star Trek, I should really just be there for Star Trek and focus on the glad handing and the fans, because I mean I really love that anyway. But as a professional, right at the same time, I was like, I really should be going to some of those writing panels and meeting some of my peers in the writing side of the fiction writing side of things. So I was really torn that last year. I was like, what do I want to do? There's too many things. But I guess
let's talk about that. So because let's talk about the writing workshops, because this was actually one of my last highlights that really is going to stick with me. So Derek Tyler Attico, freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures. You had him working on the Klingon core rulebook. You've had him work on Shackleton, right? Amazing stories. I played his campaigns. Well, we planned to meet up. So we were able to meet up on Friday. Saturday, I had planned, I'm just going to run a game in the morning at 9, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the day at the Modifius booth. But he says, I asked him, hey, are you doing anything else? He says, yeah. He says, I'm going to be doing a panel on Afrofuturism noon on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I asked, what is Afrofuturism? I'm like, what? I honestly, I don't know the official definition. Mm-hmm. He says, well, in the short of it, you could think of something like Black Panther. Mm-hmm. And it's where you have BIPOC, non-white, non-Western people, and we're writing stories about how their futures are without having to be part of the systems that we're creating for Western culture. And I completely get the concept. He says, so I'm doing this panel on tomorrow at noon. I'll be there. So glad he told me that. This was one of the most mind-blowing panels I've been on. Mm-hmm. And what I liked about it, I think, is because you know how we stumble sometimes. You're doing something well and you don't know you're doing it. And I think about the future while I was sitting there, I was thinking about a piece of art you selected for your Keyhole to Eternity, a module that you put into the tricorder set, into the digest, the TOS digest. Mm-hmm. And there's a picture, and I don't have it here to show, but people who have it, ask me and I'll send it to you to look at, if you don't already have the book. But you have a person of African heritage with, I forget what the decoration is called with the lip, they have the lip plate, right? Lip plate, yeah. And I forget which tribe is. There's multiple tribes I think that do it, but associated with, and they have a prominent place in the picture. And I remember when I first got the tricorder set and saw your story you wrote, Keyhole to Eternity, and that piece of art selected, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was because it was so Afro-futuristic. Like, they're there. This is a captain or a lieutenant. They're there, but not just there dressed Western. They brought their heritage with them 400 years into the future. And that's the whole panel was like this. The things that all the panelists were saying, including Derek Tyler Edico, who of course does work on Black Panther, come October. By the way, he'll be on our show. He's doing the Cisco autobiography novel, which comes out in October. It was just I'm like, I wish I would have planned better and caught more panels like that, because I really need to hear stuff like that. Because I walked away. In fact, I was texting you during the panel, like, oh, I have ideas, right? So I love stuff that makes me walk away with 10 fresh ideas that I have to write down. And that is another part of GenCon I did not expect.
Yep. Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm so thrilled that you had an opportunity to get away from the booth to do that, because that's something I missed. And I really wish I had done it, because like anytime I go to a writing convention, even if the panel is kind of like even remotely tangentially related to what I'm working on, I'm still going to get ideas. I'm still sponging up the authors being passionate about what they're talking about, and I can listen to that and go, oh, that's an idea. I can use that, and it gets stuck in the head, and then you go off and running. So I am overdue to recharge my writing batteries, because not that I'm stagnating on Star Trek at all, but like I feel it. I can feel the urge to want to get back to doing some fiction writing in a major way. And it's just like, oh, how do I do that? Because I don't want to go to a convention. Because like, I'll tell you, Michael, being an introvert is one thing, but I had real anxiety looking at the pictures that people were posting at GenCon of 50, 60,000 people. Those booths were packed, and I saw maybe 5 people wearing masks. And that made me super, super nervous.
Oh, I sat there the whole time thinking I'm dead meat. Like literally, as you know, and then there's always close talkers. Yeah. They happen everywhere. And I'm backed up against the booth wall. And so
where to go?
Yeah. So there came a time where I said in my mind, I'm very comedic. I'm like, well, you know what? I dropped my butt here in the first place, so I deserve whatever I get. So let's just go. Let's go with it. And I hope Saturday I don't wake up with high bubble-loris. That's a fake disease my dad made up. High bubble-loris. I said, I just was like, who gives? And that's edited. I was like, who gives? And then I just got into it. I text my wife. I'm like, I'm so screwed. You probably want to like quarantine me when I get home. So I did have to get over that. Yeah.
Nice.
That's funny.
Cool. Oh man, I'm so thrilled you had a great time. So I guess tell me, I'm trying to remember. Did you have any opportunity to like just take in the ambiance, like some of the cosplayers and the people like wandering around in costumes? Did you get a chance to take in any of that and appreciate any of that, or was it just running from one thing to another?
Costumes, no, but I did have a great opportunity while I was with Aaron and Darlene, his wife, on Friday. We went to the hotels and we walked kind of in and out of the rooms watching people play a variety of games. Mm-hmm. And, if they were cool, then we'd stand there and lurk a little bit. And, but we kind of kept our distance if we felt that they were really in their game. But I was, again, I think for somebody who grew up where I was the only dork in the block who was playing with 5 obscure friends, RPG, kind of like that, to be surrounded by people who get it. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like these are and to me, RPG players are improv people, are karaoke people. There are creative artists that are willing to just let go and get into the game. The game I ran on Saturday for STA, the players, man, they were so good. Rhonda Gilmore and her husband, Don, a couple other guys, Ryan, and I forget the name of the other one. He actually runs a podcast on gaming in New York. We connected. They just got it. They all acted. They were there to act and get into it. And that's way different than sometimes when I have my people from my neighborhood or friends who I'm teaching to play the first time. They're kind of deer in headlight. They don't get it. But when you have people who come in understanding the concept, you dive right in. And that was a new experience for me. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, when you get it, and then you're right into it. I think one of the things I really appreciated about Gen Con, and I'd love to hear your perspective if you have any more to add to it, especially the first year I went. So like I've got my two best friends, they go to Gen Con every year. And they always tell me about these experiences. And I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. But until you're actually in it, you can't understand it until you experience it. What I really appreciate about Gen Con is now, those of you who haven't gone, it's in Indianapolis and it's at the convention center, which is like right in the middle of a block of hotels, right? So there's like a million, or not a million, but there's like several huge hotels within several blocks of each other. You got the huge freaking convention center, and then you've got the big Indianapolis stadium, like within a block or two of walking distance. I mean, so it's all connected. And you got like the major hotels have walkways to the convention center. So like you can literally walk to everything if you get lucky enough to have a room that's close to the con center, right? So that's one thing. But because there's like several high-rise hotels and the convention center, if you're at all familiar with hotels, like there are always places, little sections where there's like a little table and some chairs, like some either they're big easy chairs or they're like little chairs, and there's like there's just tons of these things just everywhere. Every floor has tables and chairs for like 2 to 3 people or 4 to 6 people or whatever. And Gen Con was such an amazing experience because the first year I went, I was lucky enough to have a room in one of the hotels, so I could I would walk, I don't know what, like maybe a quarter of a mile from my hotel room to the convention center, but I would have to pass dozens and dozens of these tables, right, and chairs, and every single one of them was occupied by a couple people or a group of people playing some sort of game. Whether it was a card game, a board game, an RPG, something that they were just rolling dice or they were doing something. And it was so amazing because like we're all super geeks, we're all gamers, we're all geeking out, and there was no judgment, right? We were all just like playing games and having a good time, and there wasn't like people in business suits walking by going, "Oh, what are they doing?"
Exactly. You're right. We owned indie. They were even on the floor. We had people on as I was walking in some of the wider hallways. People were on the floor playing board games. Maybe I figured they maybe had just bought them and then they were just trying them out. But I thought that was cool too. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I didn't feel like I had to excuse myself for being a geek.
It was so cool because like I think 99 times out of 100, if you see 2 random people playing a game and you get interested in it and you start asking questions, most of the time they're going to be open and say, "Oh, well, this is such and such a game, and we got it at booth number 6266, and go buy it, and it's fun." And or they'll give you their honest opinion, right? "Oh, it's fun, but it's kind of like a push your luck, and it's not really that exciting," and you kind of get a feel for it. But it's just amazing. Like if you are a game browser and you want to get your hands on a lot of different games before you buy it, like Gen Con is mecca, because like you can go just wander the halls and try the games out. Because if you go to the booths, they might say, "Oh no, you can't open it before you buy it. Just buy it." And it was like, well, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go outside for half an hour, find somebody playing it, get their opinion of it, and then I'll come back and buy it later.
Oh, see, it seemed like every table I went to or every booth that had games, they were there showing you how to play it.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, that's what blew my mind is because when I got time on Friday a little bit, I had probably about 2. Yeah, when I was when I was Aaron and Darlene, I was able to get my hands and open up a lot of the RPG books. I was able to play some board games. I was able to watch people playing board games, and that was just totally like cool. So it seems to be like everybody wanted you to play their game, which I thought was part of the cool experience.
Oh, that's good. Cool. Excellent. So I had a question for you, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah. Okay. So I remember my experiences at Gen Con. One of the weird kind of takeaways, and I mean literally a takeaway, is that over the course of the weekend, like a lot of people would come up to me and introduce themselves, and we talk about the games, we talk about Star Trek or whatever, and I ended up leaving the convention with like a big stack of business cards. All these different people, whether they were artists or writers or editors or proofreaders or layout people or whatever, I kept having business cards handed to me, and I was just curious if that happened to you as well, being a lead writer and just being who you are. Did people hand you their cards and stuff, or did you get away from that?
No, I got a couple. I did get a couple, but most of the people hit me up on social media right then and there.
Okay.
I also showed a couple. I also showed a couple professionals how to use LinkedIn, because if they have LinkedIn, I don't know if you know, but when you click on your search bar in LinkedIn, it brings up a QR code. So opposed to them typing your name, they just have to use their photo app, take a picture, and it'll automatically create a connect. So I was able to do that with people. Nice. I'm kind of done with business cards. I think that's kind of 1998, and so now, and if someone, honestly, if someone's a professional and they don't have at least one social media platform or LinkedIn for me to catch on, I'm like, okay, come on, give me at least your email.
I hear you.
So I did get some emails from people, but since I had my phone right there, I was doing it right then and there. And then I would ask them kindly, please remind me where I met you. And some people, I was smart enough to say, hey, let's take a picture of me and send it to me so that I remember exactly what was on, because I'm a visual learner like that. Right. So I might come a little more prepared next time, and maybe even put a QR code sticker on my chest.
Good idea.
Where honestly, I'm not kidding. Like I literally will get like Continuing Missions website, do the QR code, get a sticker, and tell people just to keep taking pictures. And that way I can connect with them. That would be a good way to do it.
Yeah. Get it on your name badge or something. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, earlier in the show, Michael, you said that you're not, you don't buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff. But, I know GenCon being GenCon, what it is, there's an endless variety of stuff to purchase. So just, out of curiosity, besides the premium Dune book and besides whatever Star Trek swag you picked up, was there any other key acquisitions that you brought from the convention?
Yep. And what I have to do is take a look. I'm trying to see if I can. Yep. I found it here. So I hate heavy luggage. I like to get and go, right? Yep. But I was like, well, any game that's here, I should be able to online purchase right away so that when I get home, it's there for me when I'm waiting. So, and I would tell the people there too, if they sold me on a game. So there was 2 games, one called, get this, and they sold out of it so quickly. It's called Anxiety Attack. So that alone, I was like, wait a second, what's this about? And it literally, you're trying to fight from stressing out the whole game. It stresses you out playing it, but then you have to do all these calming techniques to try to keep from stressing out. So I just thought, purely for my mentality, that was the best game they could have selling there. That was cool. And then there was another one, which I think, for me being a Trekkie, it's called Cytosis. And the whole board game is educational about the functionings of a cell and how they break down and how they get healed. And I love games like that, because I was thinking, right as I was playing it, I was like, oh, my nieces and nephews, any of them who have biology class, they're going to learn so much from playing a game about it. Because I'm big into gamification, as you know. At work, I turn work into play so that people remember their job tasks easier. So those were the 2 games that I took pictures of and I ordered on the way home.
Nice.
And of course, Dune. I bought the Dune games and support games because the design of it was so. I read the whole book yesterday too, the whole core rule book, and so that was the 3rd buy that I made. Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah. Super. Do you do the same, or do you actually do you order them, or do you actually take the like an extra? I saw people with extra suitcases just to pack games.
No, I mean, actually, two of the 3 years I went, we drove, so we had the room to put more stuff in our car if we wanted to. But I just did want to carry it through the exhibition hall, right? Because there's so many people, and like I've seen people like the huge body backpacks and the gigantic plastic bags and stuff, and it's like, you know what? I just don't want to carry that much crap around with me, especially like you said, knowing that I can order most of this stuff online. Either directly from the manufacturer, or if I'm lucky enough to find a place that has it for a discount, that's even better. And I try to support the game companies as much as I can and order from them directly. But I just don't want to carry all that stuff around with me. It's heavy, right? Like especially those big board games that are really cool and full of great components. It's like that stuff is heavy, right? And I don't want to have to lug it around with me or worry about it walking off. Right. Because as much as I love gamers, there are always bad faith people that go to these conventions. In fact, I heard somebody had a pallet of cards walk off at GenCon. I think it was like
$100,000 value.
It's like 300,000.
300,000. Oh my goodness.
I just can't compute that. And so like the last thing I want to do is just buy like a huge bag of stuff and like have to lug it around with me everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky the first year. My son was still small enough that we had a stroller, right? And so we were able to like pack stuff under the stroller and kind of like use it as a cart plus him, right?
That's smart.
Which worked out great. But now that he's older and he's walking, it's like, well, we don't have the stroller anymore.
Was there a point where you're like, okay, we may have to make the kid walk to fit more games?
No, we were okay with that. We were careful. We managed.
Use a bungee cord to tie him down so he doesn't move off the boxes.
Well, at the time we had these gigantic carabiners hooked onto the handle, and so you could hang bags off the carabiners, and it would just make the stroller a little heavier. But it was all, as long as we kept it balanced, it was okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that's cool.
So as I was wrapping up this year, yesterday, and thinking about everything, and again, that GenCon was, I'm so glad I went, because I know we had been talking about whether I should go, and is Captain Log's really going to release on that day? Because that was my big motivation in going.
Yeah.
Even if it hadn't released that day, I would have not been disappointed if I went, because there's so many good things. But I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm a very one-up kind of person, like for events, because I do event planning at the work and stuff. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do this time to be a new experience? So my future mind was thinking, man, what are you going to release next GenCon?
Oh man, it's still another year away, but we'll have to talk to Greg and like, if you have any big ideas about how to make things even better at the booth, to make an even better booth experience or a better just game experience, and then I guess in specific for Star Trek, if there's something cool we can do at the booth for Star Trek, he's always open to ideas.
I have an excellent idea. I'm going to should I even drop the idea here?
No.
Because I saw what somebody else was doing I saw what somebody else was doing across the hall.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. Okay, no, I'm going to say this one. This one's safe to say. Because if me and you are there, I do want to tape a live episode of Continuing Conversations.
Right. That would be super cool. That would be amazing.
Like have a little space with the camera and just,
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit because this year, Star Trek Las Vegas was the same weekend as Gen Con. And of course I wasn't going to any conventions this year, so I kind of got away with not worrying about it. But I think Star Trek Adventures is now 7 years old, going on 8. It is super, super well established. We've got a huge amount of fans. We got Captain's Log just came out, which has blown the doors off of all of our expectations. We're super thrilled. And Gen Con is a known quantity, right? That is Gamer Central. We are confident we're going to sell stuff at Gen Con, right?
Yeah.
I really want, like, me personally, as a Star Trek fan and as the PM of this game, like, I want to go to a Star Trek convention and sell directly to our target audience for Star Trek Adventures, not so much for Modifius, right? But for Star Trek Adventures. And I'm really conflicted because I don't think they've announced the schedule for Star Trek Las Vegas for next year yet. I know Gen Con is the first weekend of August, and that's like the 1st through the 4th or something.
It is.
And I'm kind of crossing my fingers that STLV is not the same weekend, because if it is the same weekend, I'm really going to struggle to decide which one to go to. Because, like, part of me really wants to go to Gen Con and have that whole experience there, but part of me wants to go to Star Trek Las Vegas and really target the core audience of STV.
I mean, we would honestly, and I'm telling you right now, if you did that and invited some of the people we know who write for both Star Trek Adventures and the Star Trek novels,
yeah,
game over.
Yeah. And like, I know a lot of the people that work for Paramount and work for CBS, and who like the actors, the talent, Eric, like a lot of the people that we talked to, right? They're all on the West Coast or in the Pacific Northwest or in that side of the world, and they would probably go to STLV.
Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, you get
Jody Hauser,
Sam DeLev.
So like,
Bonnie.
I'd love to see them and hang out with them and just interact. And like, I know, like, Michael and Denise Okuda were there. A lot of the talent was there. Of course, they weren't talking about Star Trek because of the strike going on, but like to touch that side of things, not so much the core, like overarching, like, gamer side of things, like, which is great because I love our gamers and I love our fans. But like, I want to start branching out into the Star Trek, the casual Star Trek fan who might not even know what an RPG is.
Right.
We could hand them Captain's Log and say, well, now you can play by yourself, get a feel for it, and then find a group, or tap into the gigantic fan fiction network of Star Trek fanfic writers, or even cosplayers. Like, if we could figure out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Michael, here's a challenge for you if you wanted one. let's take Captain's Log and figure out how we could adapt it for LARPers and hit that market too. And not to say, from a marketing perspective, but I bet there's LARPers out there who could probably find tools in Captain's Log to game in live action, in costume and stuff. That would be super amazing. By the way, Captain's Log fits inside the tricorder.
Right. Does Star Trek Las Vegas run gaming too?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, because I mean, we of course having the stars of Star Trek Adventure run games like 1 or 2 a day would also be an enhanced experience. That people want an experience, and one of the biggest things is I appreciate like everyone who came by the booth. I wanted them to have an experience. I wanted them to be like, oh, when I buy this book and I open it up next time, I want to remember where I got it at GenCon.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe that when you do attach an experience with someone's things, it it just changes lives. I think it changes lives. So yeah, Star Trek Las Vegas would definitely, as long as it's not just a booth sitting there, but it's an experience that adds to it. I picture, I'm dreaming now, but I picture actually like Eric running a live Clear Sky show there off to the side live on Twitch while we're at the con. Stuff like that would be epic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll just have to see what we can come up with. But anyway, so just to put a button on that, I'm really conflicted, and I'm really nervous that they're going to be the same weekend again, because I don't know how I'm going to choose. I may have to crack open the yes/no probability matrix and just let fate decide. Like, what do I do? Do I go to GenCon? Do I go to STLV? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be hard for me too, because I'm not a big fan of Las Vegas. I actually don't like Las Vegas too much. So I go there for work, because in my other job, sometimes our conferences have to be in Las Vegas, and I literally fly in and fly out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So that's the only downside. But you know what's going to happen, Jim? I'll tell you this. I've been pleasantly surprised. I don't know which forces of the universe you pleased at some time, maybe saving some sort of being you didn't realize was an angel. But so far, you seem pretty blessed with everything you've done so far. So I'm just going to say that it'll work out next year. I'm putting that out there in the universe. You must have something really good about your heart going on. And so we're going to keep that going.
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And I don't know what happened, right? But I am grateful to be able to give it back and to give you this kind of an opportunity to have this experience. I know plenty of the other writers and freelancers on STA have had great experiences too. We'll just go from here and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So anyway, I think unless you've got anything else to add, I think this has been a great episode. I'm just so happy to hear how much fun you had and what a great experience it's been. So I guess let's talk about your gratitude. What are you grateful for?
I think my whole thing was gratitude. So people could maybe rewind to the beginning and play it back fast. And I name dropped everybody I can think of name dropping right now that I could remember. And to every single fan out there that I met you and was able to ask your name and look at your tag, and you signed my book and I signed yours. Thank you so much. Lifelong friends. Hit me up on social media. Next time you see me at a GenCon, just remind me, because I'm getting older now. So just say, I met you at GenCon 2023, and forgive me that I don't memorize 500 names. All right. But I don't expect you to remember just last thing, everyone I met, I'm like, hi, I'm Michael Dismuke. And somebody like, we know who you are. It's like, well, I don't believe you do or would. So I always say my name when introducing myself. I don't care who it is. Right. So just courtesy, the favor for me, when you come up to me, say your name, I'll say my name. We'll all be good. All right. So thank you, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jim?
Awesome, Michael. I just want to, I'll give my gratitude to the fans because they are the heart and soul of the RPG industry, all the gaming industry, whatever. For Star Trek in particular, though, you're keeping Star Trek Adventures going, and you're keeping me going because I feed off of this. Like I am so inspired by the fans getting excited about the books, asking questions, getting excited about the game, playing the game, sharing what Michael. There are so many Star Trek stories out there now that were created because of Captain's Log. So
I'll be posting them on Continuing Mission. People have been sending them to me. So we'll be posting them.
Allison and Josh and everybody else who involved on that book. I am so humbled that you all were willing to work on that book with me, and that you all did such a great job putting it together. Because like I was working on 3 other books at the same time. I couldn't focus on this one as much as I wanted. Like I really, really wanted to focus on it, and I couldn't, because I needed to be duplified, right? But you took the lead writer onus on, and you got Allison involved, you got the other folks involved, and you did such a great job with it. And I hope you have an opportunity to read some of these stories that are out there, because they're really amazing.
I've been doing them. I've been reading them, and like I said, they'll be coming out slowly on continuing missions. I've already got half a dozen that are still posted and waiting to post.
Yeah. So I just thank you to the fans for being engaged and having fun and going to these conventions, because the Star Trek, it's a Star Trek family. It's an extended Star Trek family, and you're never alone if you're in the Star Trek family. And going to conventions or going to events and meeting people and connecting with people makes the world just a little bit smaller. And that's what we need more and more in this world, is we need the world to be a little bit smaller, right? Because the internet helps make it smaller. Face-to-face communications and connections makes it a little bit smaller. Michael, someday we're going to meet, and it's going to be
it's not weird.
I can't wait for that to happen, but we'll get there eventually. I'm so thrilled that you got to meet Aaron, though, because Aaron and Darlene are amazing, wonderful people, and I wish I could see them more frequently. Anyway, so gratitude to the fans. Thank you all so much for everything you do. That covers it for me. So why don't we sign off and
IDIC.
Live long and prosper. Be safe. Be well. We'll talk to you all next time.
All right. Conversation continues.